I'm going to start with the screening team. This is the team that performs the first phases of the line development. These scientists complete the transfection process and perform initial clone selection, ensuring monoclonality, and they do some analysis to explore the performance of the new cell lines. For a successful transfection, it's important for this team to have access to the full experiment and the sample context related to the experiment they're about to work on. And even if this team doesn't do the in silico design, it is key to have access to the sequence level information and the tools to analyze that information. And the team needs to maintain centralized record of the screening process and the relationship between the parent cell and the polyclonal pools and the monoclonal hits. So I'm going to show you how Benchling can support this team to ensure this transfection and screening process. Right now, I have logged into Benchling in my account. Benchling is a cloud-based application, and I'm accessing through my login to an environment that we have configured for this particular presentation. When I log in, I can see some of my current activity. Also, a menu here that is going to take me to the different applications in Benchling, but also icons to the main activities like the global create, the global search, where I'm going to find everything that is in my account. And also here, an icon for projects that is going to take me to the contents of my ELN. So today, as I'm a cell screening scientist, and my work today is going to be fulfill a request that I received from the molecular biology team to actually prepare a new cell line. So here I can see in this request panel all the different requests, the status of the request, who sent the request, who this request was assigned to. If I click in one of the requests, what I can see all the details of that particular request, all the information the molecular biology team has passed. And I can see information about the experimental steps, but also information about the sample. I have here the cell line that I'm going to transfect, and I have here information about the plasmid that I'm going to use, including information of where to find that particular plasmid. I can, through these links, get all the way to the information, the sequence level information of that plasmid. And I have here now the sequence, 3 different views, and also have access to the molecular biology tools that are going to allow me to maybe explore, modify, and analyze that sequence. But again, I might not be the one doing that work. So what I can do, I can access work that maybe has been done before by the molecular biology team. For example, the analysis or the alignment that was done with the AB1 file that we received from the sequencing process. With the plasmid, I can see also metadata that's allowing me to classify and organize all my information in Benchling. I'm gonna go back to my request, the panel for that request. And so we have agreed as an organization that all experimental records are going to be captured, so we can always go back to those records. And we're using the electronic notebook to actually capture that experimental data. And I'm going to use the ELN to capture the information about the transfection experiment. I'm going to show you one that has been completed already. And here you can see that I have the inputs that come from the request. So I always keep track of that information. And I'm going through the process of the transfection, and I'm adding information of how I prepare the cells, for example, and an image of those cells, how I prepare the reagents, and I have tables that are going to allow me to do the calculations for those reagents, and also the details of that transformation, the conditions, the markers, the selection process. Once I have done the transfection, I have a new cell line, and it's important for the team that we keep track of these new cell lines that we produce. In this sense, I'm going to use a registration table to capture that information of new cell line and add it to our organization database. I have added here information about the parent cell bank and the input plasmid lot that I use, and I have created a record of that new cell line. And once I access the information, I can see that the system is helping me to keep track of that lineage and all the relationship with all the information that was already in the system. For example, I can see directly the gene that was introduced in this new cell line. I have also a record of the cell banks that have been produced from this new cell line. This has been all entered through the electronic ELN, the ELN. Next step would be isolate the monoclonal cell lines, and I'm gonna do this also through the ELN. I'm gonna keep track of all this information through ELN. And in this case, I'm actually selecting these cell lines visually, so I can use the entries in my notebook to add information manually, or I can transfer information directly from the instrument that I'm using for this selection. Once I have those lines, I register the records in our database through a registration table with all the information that is important for us to keep track of. All the lineage, the parent cell, the monoclonal, so the polyclonal bank, etc. And I'm actually capturing some results, some records that will be used later on. For example, like these images for the process, and even the monoclonality reports that will be used by other teams later. I want to do some initial analysis, and this is what I'm capturing as well, results of this, the viability and the protein concentration. And I can see here that I have analyzed that data right in the platform. So in real time, I can see which of these clones should move forward to the next step. I have expanded those clones, and I have transferred those clones into my physical inventory. So I have now a record of that in my physical inventory.